Hello and good morning, everyone. It's exciting to be here with you all and talk about ushering in this new era of agents. Welcome to Developer Week 2025. I hope you're enjoying the day so far. My name is Shiven Ramji and I'm the president of Auth0. Now, I'm going to begin this talk with a demo to set the context of what a generative AI or agent experience could look like, and all of the learnings that we've had along the way on building this type of application and type of security considerations that you may need to have. So I'm going to switch to the demo mode here. So first, Market Zero is a fictitious GenAI-powered application that allows you to trade stocks. So I'm going to set up my demo here. Go ahead and log in with my credentials. I will take a few seconds here. So given Market Zero is an application that allows you to trade stocks, I'm really interested in this company called Zico. So why don't I first start with understanding what the stock price of Zico is. So as you can see, goes ahead and generates this beautiful UI telling me what the stock price is. Now, I'd like to understand, could this be a good investment? Well, let's go check the forecast for Zico. Now, what's happening in the background is that Market Zero, it generates the forecast using RAG on earnings documents. It fetches the documents from its database and feeds them to an LLM to generate the earnings report. It seems like I don't have access to analyst reports, and I can easily fix that. I'll go ahead and join the Market Zero newsletter. So that analyst reports can be included next time I ask for forecast. So there you go. It has subscribed me to the newsletter, and it's asking me, would you like to read the forecast analysis for Zico now? I'm going to say, yes, let's go ahead and do that. So now if I ask for the forecast again, I get something more valuable because I can access more documents. Now, behind the scenes, Market Zero updated the documents I had access to when I subscribed to the newsletter. Then it retrieved them to generate the new report, giving me a more improved and detailed answer. And so you can see documents here. There are 3 different documents it returned. And when you go back, you can see there was 1 additional document added. And so that means that my permissions change dynamically without requiring me to log out and log back in. Now, that's the experience I want as a user, so it should be easy to implement as a developer. Now, let's get back to my investment. Given those forecasts, I want to monitor Zico's price to earnings ratio and purchase shares if it falls below 15. So let's go ahead and do that. And while it's doing that, Market Zero can do a lot, but it can't tell the future quite yet. Like, this action may take a day, a week, or a month. And so what it's asking me to do here is to enroll in a push notification and essentially confirm the operation as a human in the loop whenever this condition is met. So I'm going to pull up my phone here, going to my authenticator. I'm going to add the ability to scan a QR code. So let's go ahead and enroll in this. And you'll see it gives me an option to scan a QR code. So I'm going to take my phone. I'm going to scan the QR code. And just so you know, I have already added this to my authenticator app. Okay. So now it's monitoring for this condition, and we'll get back to this in a little bit. Now, I'd like to keep up with Zico, so I want to be reminded of upcoming events. So first, let's see what events are coming up. So let's see, show me Zico events. Now, when I do that, I can see that there are quite a few events coming up, but it's giving me an option to connect my Google account. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what's happening here is that it's asking Google to consent access to Market Zero. So that what happens is in Market Zero has access to my calendar, so you can call the Google Calendar API on my behalf. And you can see now I have the ability to add events. I'm going to go ahead and say add events. So I'm done with this research, but there is one last thing. I want to share this investment idea with a friend. I'll share this chat session with them by entering their email and send it to them. I'm going to go to chat session here and I'll put in my friend Daniel octa.com. Okay, now I just got an authentication request on my phone. So you can see it here. And Market Zero is essentially asking me to approve buying 10 shares of Zico. Remember we set that condition earlier? So I can go ahead and hit approve here, and it will go ahead and purchase those shares. Now, we are basically implementing the human in the loop agentic pattern where the user is asked to approve or reject an AI agent operation, but asynchronously. Now, as a user, I don't want to wait in front of the chat window for operations to finish to interact with them. Now, that's a nice futuristic app. It generates UI based on my inputs, integrates with my apps seamlessly, can handle long-running tasks, and lets me know when it's done. It's collaborative. My permissions are also handled dynamically. That is what is claimed about copilots and agents, but why aren't all apps like that yet? With GenAI, building a good-looking working demo or basic application is trivial. Now, many of you have probably seen it or done this during a hackathon, a weekend project, or a few hours of doing a POC at work. And that fantastic speed at which you can get the basic version working is what makes social media and startup world filled with demo apps and products that look amazing. So we all think that everyone else's GenAI apps are more advanced than they really are. It's a mix of availability bias and confirmation bias. But the reality is that most of those aren't ready to handle production scenarios. Let's look at one popular example from these past few months that will bring much value to building GenAI applications. The Model Context Protocol, or MCP, provides a standardized way to connect AI models to different data sources and tools. Their first release did not include support for auth. So you could do some things, but not auth. This is just part of being in the nascent space and iterating. Our team at Auth0 and others are collaborating as part of the MCP community to define auth for MCP. But let's think about it. Protocols and web frameworks have evolved over so many years to where we are now. But with AI, things are moving incredibly fast. We see similar things in GenAI frameworks like LangChain, Llama Index, and GenKit, with which we also collaborate. They don't yet have mature implementations for authentication and authorization features, which is expected because the ecosystem is in its infancy and quickly changing. Now, you will notice these gaps once you start building production applications with GenAI. For example, David Fowler, a distinguished engineer at Microsoft who worked on .NET, among other things, also noticed this. So do executives like Mark Benioff, Salesforce CEO, and investors like Ed Sim, Authentication and security for GenAI apps is not optional, and we are not yet where we want to be. But you might wonder, haven't we solved authentication already? Isn't that what Auth0 was supposed to do? Well, we've done a very good job at it. However, apps that leverage GenAI, like chatbots or AI agents, use user interaction and authentication patterns unique to web and mobile apps. To understand the identity requirements to build GenAI into applications securely, we've been talking with experts, experimenting, and watching this industry very closely. We've identified 4 critical requirements where identity is crucial. These identity requirements are not brand new. They just became a lot more relevant with GenAI applications. Let's take a look at each from a user's perspective. First, user authentication remains essential. The agent or app needs to know who I am. For example, a chatbot might need to display my chat history or know my age and country of residence to customize replies. This requires some way of identifying users, which is done via authentication. Second, I want AI agents to do things for me. This means AI agents must interact with other applications on my behalf. Because they can easily perform actions and fetch data based on natural language inputs, AI apps connect to far more applications than a typical web application. But agents don't need user interfaces, they only need APIs. And as GenAI applications integrate with more products, calling APIs on behalf of those users will become critical. Third, AI agents may take longer to complete tasks or wait for complex conditions to be met. Think about the new and incredible OpenAI reasoning models like O1 and O3 that require additional time to provide answers to better reason through prompts and replies to them. Now, it might be minutes or hours, but it could also be days. And we all know users won't wait that long in front of a screen. These cases will become mainstream and will be implemented as asynchronous workflows with agents running in the background. For these scenarios, humans will act as supervisors, an asynchronous human in the loop, approving or rejecting actions when away from a chatbot. But from a security perspective, you don't want GenAI apps to keep user credentials around for whenever the condition might be met. You want on-demand asynchronous authentication. We saw this in the Market Zero demo app with the shares purchase notification based on the price to earnings ratio condition. Finally, almost all GenAI applications feed information to AI models from multiple systems to implement Retrieval Augmented Generation, or commonly known as RAG. Now, that happened when I asked for Zico's forecast. Market Zero retrieved files from its database and fed them to the LLM to generate the report. Thus, to help keep GenAI applications secure and avoid sensitive information disclosure, all data fed to AI models to respond or act on behalf of the user must be data the user has permissions to access. Authorization must be enforced for RAG at the level of granularity at which the data is retrieved. That means you don't want to retrieve all data that matches a query or retrieve data based on a user's course role. You want to do authorization at the document level. Now, that seems like a lot, but we see all these use cases today. Simply put, as an industry, we need to solve all 4 requirements to realize GenAI's full potential. And we need this solved whether you're building your own custom GenAI framework on top of a language like Python, which many developers and companies are doing, or you're using one of the many fast-growing and changing frameworks that have arisen in the past 2 years. At Auth0, we've always looked to make it easy for developers to implement identity, authentication, and authorization in their applications. And apps leveraging GenAI are no exception. So we set out to solve these problems using secure identity standards and industry best practices. That app that I showed you, by the way, exists. You can try it at demo.auth0.ai, and it's open source at github.com/auth0-lab/market0. New Market Zero is a demo app we built to show how GenAI powered apps can offer amazing experiences while adhering to identity best practices. So let's dive into how it works. Market Zero generates a forecast using RAG on public earnings documents. This means it retrieves documents from a database using an embedded search and feeds them to the LLM context as part of a larger prompt to provide answers. Now, to ensure that the documents used to generate answers are only documents I have access to, Market Zero leverages fine-grained authorization. Now, fine-grained authorization means performing access control checks at a very granular level, and in this case, at the document level, instead of typical coarse role-based access control. Documents users don't have access to that were returned by the search are filtered out. Because RAG is oriented toward content in document retrieval, fine-grained authorization capabilities are paramount. It will be expected in most applications using RAG for different users across different documents. And to enable collaborative scenarios and great user experiences, fine-grained authorization must be dynamic, reflecting permission changes instantly. Now, Market Zero allows me to connect my Google Calendar and automatically adds events to it. How? After showing me the upcoming events, it needs an access token for the Google Calendar API, so it can call it on the user's behalf. And it obtains it by asking me to log in with Google and consent for Market Zero to get access to my Google Calendar. Using Google to log into apps is very common. The difference with Market Zero is that users do not need to use login to access the app. Instead, I connect my Google account and link that identity to whatever method I use to authenticate. Now, you can imagine users connecting their HubSpot account, their Slack account, GitHub accounts, and many others, giving AI agents the ability to call those APIs on the user's behalf. Once the Google Access token is obtained, Market Zero can add the events to my calendar. Market Zero also supports an asynchronous human-in-the-loop pattern. When the user requests work that might take a while, like many minutes, hours, or days, it is not reasonable to expect them to remain in front of the application or chat window waiting for it to complete. Instead, Market Zero asks the user to enroll to receive notifications and starts monitoring the purchase condition afterward. When Zico's PE is over 15, Market Zero sends a push notification to the user's phone and asks if they want to approve or reject the purchase of Zico shares. But this is not a regular push notification. We're actually performing on-demand authentication using secure identity standards, the same ones used to secure financial-grade applications. Users can approve or deny a purchase with one tap. When they approve the purchase, they are actually establishing a session and can obtain tokens to call APIs. This means Market Zero does not have to keep user credentials around until the agent is ready to perform the purchase. Pretty neat, huh? As asynchronous workflows become prevalent in GenAI applications, async authentication is required to make these interactions more secure, timely, and user-friendly. And how do we enable all that collaborative chat sharing experience? Well, this is also fine-grained authorization, but instead of it being for documents, it is for specific chats. When I open the shared dialog and input Daniel's email, Market Zero writes data to our fine-grained authorization store to state that Daniel is a reader of my chat session. Later on, when Daniel opens that link in his browser, Market Zero checks permissions in FGA to ensure Daniel can access that chat session. Daniel can only read that chat, not write, so Market Zero renders the chat in read-only mode. As I said before, you can take this demo for a spin and check out all the patterns in the Market Zero open source repo. Now, here's the interesting thing. We've discussed these challenges and solutions with companies of all sizes, including Fortune 100 companies, two-person startups, fast-growing businesses, and established enterprises. And we've learned two things. The first is that while these pain points come up when building B2C and B2B SaaS applications, one use case that kept popping up that we did not expect was internal applications. Those that leverage internal data sources and connect to each company's SaaS applications. And the second thing is that the 4 identity requirements for GenAI apps are generally applicable to companies of all sizes and all industries. So we're focused on creating a new product to make it easy for developers to solve these as well. We call that product Auth for GenAI. Auth for GenAI package is what we've learned working with GenAI frameworks and product builders, and builds upon Auth0's decade of experience in identity and building for developers. It helps solve authentication and authorization requirements for GenAI applications. Auth for GenAI is built using secure identity standards. And of course, it will ship with SDKs for languages and frameworks and clear and easy to understand documentation, so you can enjoy securing your GenAI apps with the developer experience Auth0 is known for. Auth for GenAI is coming to early access in March of 2025. With the rise of an AI agent ecosystem, Auth for GenAI will help developers build GenAI applications securely. You can scan the QR code to the right to join our Auth for GenAI waitlist. I am personally looking forward to the age of AI agents, and I'm convinced enabling you, builders, to quickly and securely authenticate users, connect to their different apps and data will be our great contribution to the industry. At Auth0, we'd love to help you in this journey, and if you have feedback, please let us know via our social or support channels. Thank you, and I can't wait to hear from all of you soon.